video, you will view a group of literacy leaders, skills specialists, and literacy coaches conducting a data dig utilizing several student data points for a third grade classroom. The teachers are analyzing running records, reading response notebooks, and benchmark scores, as well as writing process samples using a data collection form. During this data session, the teachers form small instructional group lessons as well as instruction for one-to-one teaching. To the notebook, okay? So everybody look at the notebook you have quickly and call out the name. We're going to call out the name, and if you have this one, say me, and we'll give it to you. Walden, I think this is Walden right here. Yes, I think this is Walden. Okay, so let's take some time now to look at some of that data, and then you can look at some of the forms, the areas there. You don't have to write on the form, you can write on a Post-it or you can write on the form, but those are the things we want to look at. And we want to think about how they're connected, which is unusual, right? Because most of our students say and.
I noticed her last name is Wynn. I'm thinking that's a
English, yeah. English language learner.
Yeah. That's what I noticed too, because a lot of these ones, the way that they are writing the words, I understand them if I go switch to Spanish.
So
It's very phonetic.
I'm not sure. We will ask about that one. But that's good to write. Right. That's good to write that down so that we know that's something we need to think about teaching into.
And then the same errors that she has on her running records, leaving out ED.
Same thing on her writing. Oh, good findings. Write that down.
The combination of the Spanish and the English. It's very phonetic.
So thinking about what would we focus on? Notice how we are able to identify what we are noticing about a couple of EL students in the classroom. By knowing the background of our students, we are better able to meet their instructional teaching needs. Providing equity to our students is important. It's important for the teachers in this group to look across all the student work to see the alignment of reading and writing in that teaching. And then using those cueing things of, does that make sense?
And with his reading level being an F, they could even borrow some of the
phonics unit. I would definitely do a word work. Word work group with that.
Pulling a couple of those kids that struggle with the same thing, that phonics unit would be phenomenal, especially that small group.
Right.
That small group unit is amazing.
Okay, yeah. So let's all kind of come back together here if we're ready. Are we ready to, or are we still desegregating?
Still desegregating. I gave her the other student.
Okay, I was gonna say because I have one here. Are we kind of ready? Yeah. So our goal is, and I've pulled up the writing though. Do you want to get the writing first? Do you want me to give you the data for the writing really quick? Yes. Okay, let's do that, and then after that, we'll come together to decide how we're going to group the kids. Okay, so here we go. After analyzing the student work, the teachers are ready to group students together based on similar needs. Who would we like to hear? Are we ready? Okay, so let's come back together now, and let's think about if we have some same commonalities of things that we want to work on with these students and how we would group them, okay? So put your information, we'll grab some Post-it notes, because what we'll do is we'll start putting the piles together and grouping them together. I didn't get to finish looking at mine. All right, so who wants to go first? Somebody want to kind of share your noticings, your findings, and we'll see if anybody has some of the same characteristics.
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead, Lisette.
Where there should be an ED or an ING, she leaves them off constantly. She seems to taper off on words when she doesn't really know the word. She'll kind of get a running start, but then she just kind of seems to taper off, and her writing mimics the same.
Notice how this coach talks about the miscues from the students' running records, leaving off inflectual endings. This is why it's important for the teacher to document as much information as possible on the running record form. Alondra goes on to talk about how the student writing mimics her reading behaviors. By doing this analysis of student work, the coach is able to make intentional decisions.
Characteristics, she's not using conjunctions or transitions in her writing at all. She just kind of, if the word looks like it could go there, she just kind of throws it in, but then when you read it out loud, it doesn't flow at all. She's not monitoring for sense when she's writing. If she were to go back, if her teacher were to go back and have her reread it, she would see that it doesn't really make sense, so she needs to support with monitoring for sense. She could benefit from better reading, but I think that she needs some other support first, and she definitely can use some sight word support with some higher level sight words because she can spell pretty decently, but she just doesn't really know how to use those words. And then she's using very basic words, like first grade words. So she could use some higher level, on grade level sight word support.
So you're thinking like phonics work? Is that what we're thinking? Or like some endings, inflectual endings, a small group with that. Does anybody have anything similar?
I have the same thing, and I do believe it's because both of our students are ELLs.
Mm-hmm. She's an ESL teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I believe that's what
okay. What level did you have?
Level D.
D, and what level do you have? So I don't think we want to put those two together though, right? But I do have a G, I think that fits that same characteristics with the endings on it. So I think we can put, and that's instructional as well. So I think we can put these two together. You want to put a post-it with it, put endings on it, sight words, everything we talked about, and then just crisscross it in that pile right there. We'll come back to this one. This might be an individual teaching if there's nobody else at that level.
So my first suggestion was to the teacher, always attach it so that we can see and we can compare. These are the mistakes they're making on a level M, and that's not why they're getting there. So it kind of plays into the fact that the student in their reading benchmark test missed prediction and inferencing. So it would definitely benefit because we need to lift the level of the student or they're going to be stuck on that M for months. So I said to incorporate those question stems, especially in the reading journal. The reading journal is very organized and it looks great.
Notice how in this classroom, the teacher has students on level G needing phonics work, as well as students on level M who need to lift the level of thinking to move to the next student level N.
You have, for example, main idea, and you put the bullets for the details, but we need to add a question stem to lift that level and get them where they need to start moving to that N and that O and that P. So that was my suggestion. Plus, it makes that connection for that prediction and that inferencing, and that's exactly the questions that was missed on the exam. As far as writing, I did see improvement already from the start of August to October with transition words. The student was saying after, later, and you look at a few days ago, they're saying first, then, next. So you already see that improvement. But I did suggest as far as what to work on with the student in reading was subject-verb agreement, and I put on there, student says, my sister were, and also the ending with the ing, they still aren't knocking off that E. So they're saying taking, but putting the E in there. So that was my suggestion for the help student to get them to.
So this is kind of interesting because she's really not a level L. It's not her independent reading level. It's actually a frustrational. When I went and counted the errors, I was like, she made a lot of errors. And so this is her frustrational. And it kind of gave insight a little bit more as to what kind of help she needs. And she really needs to ask herself, does it make sense? And she said things like, the text said found, and she said round. Dots, she said red dust, and the word was dot. Chicken pox, she said ketchup pox. And so really the bang for the buck is like, does that make sense with what's happening in the story? As far as like she did really well on the benchmark, where she was struggling was with the prediction, and so I went back to the mystery unit, and I could tell everybody was a suspect. She really couldn't take that prediction.
When we understand the reading process, we are able to coach students with prompts for reading. Also notice how this coach goes back to the previous reading unit to align the student jotting to the benchmark questions the student missed. The student's writing about reading makes the invisible process of comprehension visible for us, so that we can determine what to teach into to strengthen the comprehension process for readers.
Like couldn't really finalize her prediction because she's like everybody was a suspect, and so I could see why she had a hard time with the prediction question. She didn't really try it out all the way through the mystery unit. Boxes and bullets, which they're currently doing right now, she does a wonderful job with that. And something for writing, she's not the best speller, but she's wanting to take risks, and that's great. And so maybe something as simple as like, clapping out syllables and making sure that each syllable has a vowel. Something as simple as that. It's like, oh, really? That might fine-tune her spelling a little bit. But all of that's...
I really like how you went back into the mystery unit to dig in there to see like the prediction question and how really she missed it. She missed the mark. And it shows on her benchmark that she missed it. So great alignment with that. So now we should be planning our lessons. Now it's time for the planning. The teachers will use a variety of instructional tools, phonics units, Jennifer Saravello's Teaching Strategies book, the Teach for Transfer progression document, and teachers will create small group lessons and one-to-one conferences. They will create these lessons to complete their lesson plans, and they will also create tools and artifacts. Lessons, right? So that we're ready, you can grab anything you want. The phonics books over there, Jennifer Saravello books, paper, Post-its.
Can we have books?
You can grab books over here if you need books. 20 minutes. Make sure you're jotting your plans and notes. Now the planning is complete. The coaches and teachers will try out their lesson plans in the classroom. The teachers will take notes and reflect on the teaching in order to plan for cycles of continuous small groups and conferences.
Then as readers, like the last page, I know it usually changes. So let's look at that last page. It says, we go home to read the books.
Okay, when we look at the pattern, we look at the first one.
Just an idea that's not look like to what's written. So I'm going to show you that.
So now let's read from the beginning.